What's going on, you guys? Okay, so today we have the most requested review. Well, we don't. Nobody requests anything. Again, this channel has 5 followers. It's got like 400 followers now. None of this is by request, okay? I'm just trying to give some pomp to it, all right? So we got a bottom line review of the Unihertz Titan. The Unihertz Titan, okay? And this is a phone with a physical keyboard. So this is probably the last of the physical keyboard phones that you can get. And you guys wanted it. You guys asked for it. Again, nobody asked for it. If you like this BlackBerry Passport from back in the day, if you use this, you see I still got it. It works. This is gonna be your best bet for if you're dead set on using that BlackBerry Passport. This Unihertz Titan is going to be your best bet for a phone with a physical keyboard that replicates the BlackBerry. So let's go ahead and do the unboxing, and then we'll get into it and we'll do the whole review. All right, so you get the box, Unihertz. No frills really here. Model Titan. Okay, got some specs on there listed. So let's get into the box. Regular beige. Open it up. It's heavy when it comes in. It's a heavy feeling box. Okay. Got all your books right here. Open it up. And this phone's been out already, but I'm trying to give you guys the whole show. You know how it goes. You know what we're doing here. So here's a little screensaver. All right. And booklets. Okay, little foam pad here. Here we got the bag with the phone. A bag with the phone. All right. We've got a charger in the case. And no case for the phone. But when we get into this review, you guys don't need a case. All right, so let's yank the phone out. It's already on, but yours won't be when it arrives. And here it is. All right, here it is. Unihertz big. This thing, it's hard for me, you guys. This thing is an absolute monster. Okay, this, you could really teach somebody a lesson with this. I mean, you could really do pop pop pop. I mean, you could do some damage with this thing if you were mad at someone, give them a, you could really mess them up a little bit. So this phone is an absolute in the hand. When you first open it, when you feel out, it's a beast. It does not feel like the Passport feels like a little slim Passport, right? That's what it feels like. This thing does not feel like that. This thing feels large. It feels heavy, bulky, rounded over here. Very rugged feel on this phone. Just so you guys are aware, everything feels kind of softish, almost like rubbery-ish. But this thing is a beast. All right. So here's the Passport, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got my name engraved on my old BlackBerry Passport. I actually went back into my old machine shop I used to work in, and I set up the machine, and I got my name engraved. On the bottom there. So this was never getting sold. This was never going away. So this thing feels slick and light. I use this because this is probably what you guys are going to be comparing it to. If you guys want this Unihertz, that's going to be your main deal here. So this thing feels sleek, light, and kind of like classy. This thing feels more rugged. This thing feels like you could toss it. It's already got all the protection you need on it. All right, let's go through the specs, okay? So here's the important specs. We got a 4.5-inch display LCD with Corning Gorilla Glass. Resolution 1432 by 1436. Helio P60 octa-core CPU. 6 gigs of RAM. 18-watt charging. 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Yes, there's a micro SD slot. It runs Android 10, and I think over on GitHub, if you guys go and do the research, you can upgrade this to Android 13. This thing comes with Android 10 stock, and that's what it is. They don't have a new version of this. They don't have a version with 11 or Android 12. You can upgrade it on 13. Me personally, it's a whole new ROM when you upgrade it. It's a whole new ROM that you're putting into this phone. So some of the things may be finicky. Some of the apps may not work. I'm actually pretty impressed with how well this Android 10 runs on this phone. I really am. I have no problems with it. I have no problems with how this Android 10 runs on it, but just for you guys out there that want to get creative, I believe you can get this up to Android 13. So yes, micro SD slot, Android 10, 16 megapixel rear camera, 8 megapixel front camera. All right, 4G LTE, Bluetooth 4.1, and IP67 water and dust resistant. And then what's this thing weigh? Let me look real quick. Hang on here. Okay. So this thing weighs 303 grams, okay? So as you guys know, our base unit of measurement here on this channel is 28 grams to an ounce, okay? So 300 grams, 303 grams with the battery this thing weighs. So you guys go in your nightstand, pick up a bag, all right? That's 28 grams, all right? So whatever 300 divided by 28 is, that's how much heavier this feels. This ain't a math channel, okay? An ounce is 28 grams. This is 300 grams. So this is heavy, all right? This is about 10 times, whatever. Again, I'm not the math magician, all right? So IP67 water and dust resistant, okay? Let's get into the display, all right? So the display, I have it in my notes here. The display feels super grainy and like fuzzy. And then in my notes, it says, dumbass, there's a screen protector on it. So this thing's going to come with a screen protector. You guys can peel that off. So the display is, you know, you're going to, again, what is it? 4.5-inch screen. You're going to have to get used to this screen. All right. So it's a touchscreen display. You got no problems moving around it. All right. You can do gestures here. So as you can see, I can get into voice and then exit out like this. All right. Get into my Gmail, exit out like this. All right. So it's a smaller screen, 4.5, but once you're holding this phone, it actually doesn't feel that small. Now, what I did notice is when I go to try to, you know, browse online with it or whatever, it's kind of difficult. I definitely want the bigger screen, so I end up switching to my one of my flat screen phones. But you know, the screen doesn't feel as small as you would think it feels, put it that way. So the phone is absolutely massive in your hand. The screen, the display definitely feels a little bit dull and washed out. I've got it on max brightness right now, and it's, you know, it's not that bright, okay? The other thing that I noticed is this screen, this display, for some reason, it wants to stay on all the time. Like, it'll pop on because of a notification or something, and it'll just stay on. Like, it'll just keep itself on, and I'll have to go in here, I have to hit the button to turn it off. So and it's kind of weirdly inconsistent. Sometimes it doesn't do that, but most of the time it just stays on. So I always notice it when I look over and the screen's on, then I look over 20 minutes later, the screen is still on. So that's one thing is a little bit, these weird little tiny bugs that don't make it unusable, but are just kind of like, you know, a head scratcher, right? So the screen always stays on, and I do have, you know, you'll go in to mess with your settings, your display timeout and all that, and it'll help, but that's one thing I noticed. Okay, biometrics. For biometrics, you got fingerprint, PIN, and face recognition. Let's go through it. So your biometrics here are going to be in your privacy. Actually, it's not. It's going to be in your security. And here's your screen lock. I got none. Face unlock, fingerprint, theft protection. So screen lock, none. Swipe you can have. You can have a pattern, a PIN, or a password. Face unlock here, you can enroll face. Let's try it. Choose a screen lock. Let's go pattern. Right here. So please proceed with caution. Face unlock is generally less secure than other unlocking options. So start enroll. Attention, your phone may be unlocked by someone with a similar appearance or object shaped like you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So my face is enrolled. That looked like some finicky face enroll. So let's see if it works. It works. There. Boom, I'm in. Okay, so turn it on. You guys see it's on the lock screen. I'm in. Doesn't like me this time. Can't detect face. Yeah, see, so it gets in. I mean, again, you guys have to. So let's preface all of this by saying I paid $309 for this phone. All right, I believe it was $309. Now this phone's up to $350. We're talking about a $350 phone here. Okay, so let's not compare this to the S25 Ultras, the Vivo Ultras. Okay, maybe even this Passport, because this was an expensive phone when it first came out. So, let's figure out what we're working with here. This is a $350 phone. So there's your face unlock, all right? Security, fingerprint. So your friggin' fingerprint on this is right here in this center button. Remember the trackpad that used to be on the Blackberries? So here I am, setting up the fingerprint. Done. All right, so there's my fingerprint. Let's try it. Phone's locked. Boom, I'm right in. So fingerprint works really well. I would say the face unlock works really well too, but you know, you might catch a couple of... Here we go. So it's let me right in. Boom. Okay. So that's your biometrics, fingerprint, all your standards, all right, and everything works fine. It'll get you in, it'll get you where you need to be. Okay, let's go over the sound, you guys. So for the notes, I have the sound. So one of the things here, the speakers are on the back, so the sound comes out of the back. So it's easy to cover up your speaker when you're holding the phone or when it's laying down like this, okay? It's fairly loud, but it sounds muffled. So let's test some stuff out here. Let's go through a song or two here. It was full loud. Yeah, it's so loud, it's so muffled. Let me get you close. Do you hear how muffled that is? By the way, if you guys aren't on RJ Payne, I don't know what to tell you. You guys are missing out. I have been desperately trying to find what sample this song is, and I know I know it's an old song. I believe it's an old Jay-Z song, but I have not, for the life of me, been able to find the sample. So if you guys out there spot this and know what beat that came from, that piano thing, I know it's an older song. I just can't place it right now. But if you guys aren't on RJ Payne, you guys need to go check out RJ Payne, all right? You're missing out. Full loud. I go by the name of Mr. RJ motherfucking Payne. Let's go. Invested in biometrics and multiple hammers. Let's try something else. This is new stuff. Yeah. You hear how muffled it is? It's so muffled. You know what time it is, don't you? It's that 3-piece. Eric Sermon, RJ Payne, F Squad. Compare it to this. This is a Vivo Ultra. Vivo X100 Ultra. It's that 3-piece. Eric Sermon, RJ. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Look, get it straight. I obliterate mics. My skill level superb. Words imitate life. The renegade type. I used to run the street. Now my destination is underneath. Death Squad. Beautiful Pain Entertainment. Tizo on the boards. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Look, get it straight. I obliterate mics. So you see, it's very muffled. It's not quiet. It's actually fairly loud, but the sound sounds super muffled. And I've actually been using this phone at work. I'll get to this here in a bit, but I've been using this phone at work, and it's hard, man. It's hard to throw it on without a speaker or anything. But to say that, it's hard to throw any phone on in a warehouse or a shop and have it sound loud. I'm just saying this one is just rough. It's just rough. And then the Bluetooth on it, you know what? It's not the best. Usually these phones have it down completely, and we say Bluetooth is good. You can walk away from the gym and go pick up your weights or whatever. This one's a little bit finicky. I had a little bit of trouble with this one. Having said that, you know, again, $350 phone, it's going to get you through the day. It's going to get you to where you need to be. I need to shut all these biometrics off. Okay, so that's the sound, you guys. All right, next up is the camera. Not a whole lot to speak of here, but you guys, you know, what I always say for these cheap phones that aren't made for the camera, that you're not going to be getting for the camera, is it has a camera. Just be happy it has a camera, okay? So here you have your normal mode. You got pro mode with white balance, ISO exposure, incandescent, fluorescent, warm fluorescent. You can play with it. So this is, again, you guys have to realize this is a 16 megapixel rear, 8 megapixel front camera. So here's twilight, shade. You guys see all the different changes. Mess with your exposure, mess with your ISO here, white balance, warm fluorescent, normal, video mode, and time lapse. So not the most complex here, but you know, it's got what you need. EIS, you guys will know what this is more than me, just so you guys, you photo nerds out there. Anti-flicker, auto, video quality, auto screen brightness, GPS location, video format, capture rate, and key mode. So in your settings, so fairly simple here, not a whole lot. There's your video, normal, and there's your pro, like I said, to mess with. So again, I'll throw some pics up. The pics look pretty grainy. They look pretty fuzzy. I don't know necessarily the word for this, but the color's like blasting out at you. They're very washed out. So, you know, do with that what you will. But again, you guys are not going to be getting this phone for the camera. It's $350 for the whole phone. So just keep that in mind. This isn't a camera phone. It's got a camera, okay? Okay, so for the day-to-day, let's go through a couple of just the notes I have and what I noticed just using this phone. So for what it is, it moves pretty quick. For being Android 10 and, you know, for the strength, for the power that it has, it moves super quick. It's going to get done what you need to get done, honestly. So for you guys that are going to be getting this as like a work phone or whatever, this thing's going to do what you need it to do. Again, if you want a phone that moves super quick, the quickest ever, we're talking different price ranges here. You guys need to be up towards $1,000 for the Ultras. You'll get what you want. This isn't that. It's $350. A phone that you can throw around, a phone that you can, you know, use with a camera, whatever. So that's pretty cool. So it moves pretty quick for what it is. I've always thought since the Passport that the scroll with the keyboard was ultra cool. I've always thought that was super cool because I go online, right? Your screen's not taken up with your hand scrolling. Okay, I can scroll with my keyboard. Up, down. You know? Go through your emails. Over, left, right. I love it. I love it. I love the scroll with the keyboard. You guys might think it's kind of stupid, kind of gimmicky, but it frees up your screen so your hand's not covering the screen. So you can do what you need to do. Scroll with the keyboard. I love it. So on startup, minimal bloat. You guys aren't going to have to delete a lot of stuff here. So that's great. That also makes the phone run a little bit better with the Android 10. So there's not a lot of bloat. Yes, there's Android Auto. Another note I have is the backlight. There's a backlight here on these keys. So when you're typing, it can be finicky. And you don't notice this until you're in the dark, all of a sudden typing. Like I was walking through a house the other night and I went to answer an email and you don't know what to hit. So you have to hit a key and then it'll light up. You have to hit a key and then it'll light up. Right? And then you can see what it is. But by then you've already typed something up. So the backlight on this is a little bit finicky. You got to start typing on it. And then it'll light up and you can see it. The thing takes absolutely forever to charge. I have this thing plugged in for hours and it's got up to 85%. This thing takes absolutely forever to charge, but it also takes absolutely forever to die. This battery refuses to die. This thing sits for 3-4 days and I'm picking it up, turning it on. It's still at 20%. It's still at 30% and it just stays there. Now, if you guys are using this pretty heavy, you're still going to get way more than a day of runtime on it. All right, this battery is an absolute workhorse. It takes forever to charge, but it takes forever to come down. So you guys are gonna have no problems with this battery. It'll stay on. It does exactly what you need it to do for as long as you need to do it, okay? It absolutely refuses to die, okay? So for a little bit of the work things, if you take this, which this thing, a lot of you guys, one thing I have is you need to be working on like an oil rig with this thing. I don't think you can break this phone. You can throw it, you can toss it. I mean, this thing is built like a brick shit house. It's put together with screws, all right? This thing's got screws in it. This thing's got metal on it, aluminum. I actually, when I get into work, when I get into the shop now, this is something that's become pretty interesting. When I get into the shop, I leave all my other phones, my Samsung and my Vivo, on my desk and I take my watch off and leave everything that can get damaged when I go in the warehouse to work. But I've been bringing this phone, and that's one of the best things about it is it's $350, so you can take it with you. You're not going to feel like you're hurting it too much. So you can take it with you. You can take it to work. You're not going to worry about if it drops or whatever. Now, obviously, $350 is still a cost, so you don't want to just be tossing this thing around. But what I'm saying is, it's not like this, pretty, beautiful, crisp, clean little phone that you can't drop, that you got to treat with baby hands, baby gloves, kid gloves. You can manhandle this thing around. And again, like I said in the beginning, you can manhandle someone with this thing. So if somebody acts wise or somebody talks up, pop, 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 pop. Right? This thing will do some damage. So that's one thing I've kind of learned to love about this phone, is just how rugged it is. It doesn't need a case. It's already got a case on it. Everything's protected. Everything's already raised. We get these cases to raise the screen, so if it falls flat, right? It's got the lip on it, so if it falls flat. This thing's already got all that for you right out of the box, right? You don't need any of this extra stuff, okay? You can't scroll with the space bar. That's one of the notes I have. Oh boy, here we go. You can't scroll with the space bar. You can only go back, right? So this will take you home, the space bar, right? I don't like that. Another thing I don't like, unfortunately, this is kind of a big gripe for me. I could not get, and my rule of thumb for these things, like when you guys saw the video for the clicks, this BlackBerry, the Passport, all that, my rule of thumb is, use the keyboard for a while and let yourself get used to it. Right now, in our world now, we have touch screens. Everybody, 99.9% of people use touch screens. So we're not used to typing on a physical keyboard. So you really got to type on it to kind of get used to it. And my one thing that I had is I had a very hard time, and still do, and I've been using this phone to try to give a fair review of it. I have not been able to get used to this keyboard. The keys are they feel big. They feel kind of rubbery when you click them. And they feel the word I guess would be soft. Have not used to the keyboard. And you guys can see that I'm obviously, I've been using this, so I'm sliding through it pretty good. At first, I was slow. So this keyboard, it is a physical keyboard. It is the closest you're going to get to this BlackBerry. But like when you type on this one, when you type on the BlackBerry, it's like a light, crisp click. It's like a click. This is like a soft, rubbery padding, okay? I'm just trying to describe the feel for you guys. So it's everything feels a little bit slower and less responsive. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, you hear that click? And then, I don't know if that sounds any different, but it's softer and just a little bit, everything feels a little bit slower, so I don't feel like I can fly through these keyboards. So that's one thing I actually did notice, is I've not gotten used to the keyboard, and that's kind of a big deal for me, because one of the reasons you're going to get this phone is for the keyboard. So for me personally, I haven't quite gotten used to it. I have gotten used to this clicks, this thing I'm zipping around on now. This feels native and nice for the keyboard on the original Passport. But I just, I just have not been able to get used to this keyboard, and I hate that. I hate that because that's one of the main sellers, probably the main seller of this phone, is you're trying to get a phone in 2024, 2025 that still has a physical keyboard on it. So for me, I'm going to keep using it. That's actually one of the next thing I have is when I'm at work, this is one phone that I may actually continue to use long term. And partially because I don't care about destroying it, to be honest with you. I'm going to use this thing in the warehouse to play music, to connect to the boombox, to answer my emails when I'm out in the shop, so that I don't have to run back to my phone, run back to my desk. I can just answer emails on it. I can, do whatever I need to do on it. And that's one thing I noticed is when I'm testing out these other phones, I do have a hard time walking around the shop with it, walking around the warehouse with it. These are expensive phones. These are $1,000 phones. There's a lot to damage there. So for this thing, I actually feel like this is one phone I'm going to continue to use at the warehouse, and I'm just going to bring it and I'm going to use it because this thing, it's built, like I said, like a brick shit house. You feel safe with it in your hand. You don't feel like you're going to scratch it, break it, whatever. It feels durable. So this is, for what it is, I'm not giving this the most glowing review, and I'm not saying this is the best phone. Obviously, we're talking about different categories of phones here. Mostly we deal with the flagships here. But this actually, I'm going to probably end up using after I do the review because I don't care about beating it up and because of how rugged it is. So before I go to the overall, let's run through some of these settings real quick. Just so you guys can get an idea of what settings are on this phone. Now, this is Android 10. It doesn't have a ton of bells and whistles on it. The one other thing that I do like is the keyboard shortcuts. And when we go through the settings, you guys will see it. But I like the keyboard shortcuts. So, like, I have my Gmail set to mail. So all I do, instead of having, I know it's kind of stupid, but again, this was on the Passport too. Look how long it takes to open up my lists. I have my list set to L. But I tell you what, as I'm doing this review and I'm holding this Passport, it feels so nice to hold. This feels like such a nice phone. I wish I could get the new Android on it and just run this. This feels bulkier and more unwieldy would be the word. Unwieldy, put it that way. But I love the shortcuts. So M, I got for mail. And it takes a little bit to open up. I don't know what I got for L. But, so, let's go through some of the settings. Okay? So here's your network and internet settings. All your standard stuff here. Connected devices, Bluetooth, NFC. Bluetooth, like I said on the sound portion, it's a little bit finicky on this. Apps and notifications. Here's your notifications, screen time, default apps. Intelligent assistance. So here's where you get into some of your fun options. So you can swap the Alt and Shift key here on your keyboard. Ringtone volume increases gradually. Block notice. Here's your network manager, app blocker. Here's your keyboard shortcuts. And you basically have a short press and a long press, right? So for C, I've got it set to camera here. Gmail, Maps, I got N for Maps, Play Store. So if I'm just, just turn the phone on, I got to get to my Maps. Start it up. Go back home, check my mail. Boom. All right there. So I like these shortcuts. I've always liked the little shortcuts on the physical keyboards. I think that's where you get to start to play a little bit, is when you have a physical keyboard and you can do the shortcuts there. So there's all your shortcuts. You guys can set them whatever you want. You got the back button right here, the click, the physical thing. LED notification, charging, battery low, missed notifications, incoming calls you can set to blue, green, red, and none. You guys remember this? You guys remember the LED notifications on the Blackberries? So you guys can set your different colors. Super cool. U-cable, charging voltage, charging current, missed notifications. This if you want the cable when it's plugged into charge, if you want it to show you what it's doing. Scroll assistant. Open scroll assistant. In some interfaces allow slide up and down or left or right. Scroll on the keyboard with your finger can slide the content on the screen. Okay. Scroll assistant. Turn on screen for notifications. Mini mode. When installed, third-party apps have display problems or are not working properly. Switching to mini mode may help these third-party apps work properly. Please note mini mode is not recommended when there are no exceptions. This basically make your app smaller so you can look into slide down 3 fingers. So let's try this. Go to Instagram here. Files. Let's try this. Settings. Let's try it. See, it's all finicky. Mini mode. Use 3 fingers. Oh, okay. Use 3 fingers. All right. So it makes your screen smaller so everything fits in. See that? Slide with 3 fingers. Make your screen full size again. If an app's not working, you can make it smaller. Boom. So this is, by the way, what your Instagram's going to look like. If you guys want to see on this 4.5-inch screen, kind of hard to work in, especially working in real estate won't change me. There's Diddy with the fur. So it's kind of hard. I end up going back. It's doable, but obviously we're all used to our big, nice screens now, so it's going to take some getting used to. But you can scroll again. You can scroll with the keyboard. That's kind of cool. That's what it looks like right here. All right. So again, three fingers for the mini mode. If an app's not working, So there you go. So that's mini mode, rotation control, programmable key. You've got a key on the side here that you can program. And I've got it as short press, no operation. Long press, I've got a screenshot. Boom, right there. Hold it. And it's red, so you know it's the programmable one. And a double press, I got open flashlight. Works every time, baby. I love it. Programmable key, spacebar key. Double click on the spacebar to answer the incoming calls. Double click the spacebar to hang up. Double click spacebar to take a picture in the camera. So let's see if this works here. Boom. Got it. So double click to take a picture there. So some little features there, little, extra stuff for you. Scan. This is for when you want to scan a QR code. Can't just open your camera and do it with this one. You got to go to scan and then flip to mute, okay? You got your battery, 80%, more than 2 days remaining. Here's your battery info. Display, brightness level, night light, adaptive brightness, wallpaper. Got a bunch here. I had Chelsea on there. I don't want to change her off there, but we're going through it, so. Let's not set it. I'm not going to set it. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to keep Chelsea on there. So there's your wallpaper, dark theme, and advanced. You got your screen timeout, auto rotate, default font, screensavers, lift to wake. You got your themes here. Icon shapes here. Sound, regular sound options here. Storage. 128 gigs available here, 14% used. You got your privacy, permission manager. And on this, we do a lot of the Chinese phones here. All your notifications are going to come in. This works fine with Google Play. This phone works in the US. You're going to have no problems here. You're going to get all your notifications. All the content's going to show up. You don't have the problems with Google Play services like we do with these other Chinese phones here. So there's your permissions, privacy, location, all your location data, security, screen lock and fingerprint, accounts, accessibility. So you got your talkback. I hate this thing when it turns on in all these reviews. I hate it. Talkback here, font size. You can make it bigger, magnification, color correction, magnify with triple tap, magnify with shortcut, color correction, color inversion, mouse pointer. So you got all these things here. Okay. Digital well-being, parental controls, screen time, bedtime mode, all that. Google system, Kika keyboard. You got your gestures, jump to camera on. To quickly open camera, press the power button twice. Works from any screen. System navigation is gestures, just like the iPhone. And then you got your about phone here. All right. So very, very bare bones, not a ton of bells and whistles here. And I kind of, for some reason, it makes me feel good about it. It's like a no frills, like here, take what you get. This is what it's going to do. This is going to do it. And you got it. And go use it. Go forth, right? And use this. Okay. So, all right, let's wrap this up. Overall, okay. So here's what I'll start out saying. Part of what made BlackBerry great, this is my opinion. If you go all the way back and watch my iPhone videos, I say this too. Oh, wait, real quick. Let me run a game on this for you guys, just so we get. So here's Godzilla, because I get a comment sometimes. I get comments that I don't run games on these phones. So the screen when you turn on a game flips automatically. This is Godzilla Kong, Titan Chasers. Please hold. Please hold for 10 fucking minutes. All right, let's try Subway Surfers here after 20 minutes of trying to download something. I just want to show you guys a game on this. Let's go. So on this game, I can't scroll with the keyboard. I got to do touchscreen. So everything's moving. I can play it. Everything's quick. I don't feel like it's lagging. I don't feel like it's messing with me. Run, buddy. So you guys, I don't feel like there's any lag. I feel like everything's running the way it's supposed to. Yeah. So this is actually, I'm playing it. I don't know about any harder games. But that's Subway Surfers, you guys. All right. So that's a game for you guys. Okay, so let's go through the overall real quick. So to me, part of what made BlackBerry great is the same thing that makes Apple great today. The manufacturer is controlling the software and the hardware. So, you know, for this, the reason I love this phone and all these phones is it was BlackBerry phones running the BlackBerry software. In 2025, this is the closest we can get is a Unihertz phone running Android software. It kind of goes back. I was talking about it in an older video. I forget exactly which one, but it's like, again, I paid $309 for this phone. Even if you paid $350, whatever, for $350, it's pretty easy to be impressed. If I'm paying $1,400 for my Samsung, if I'm paying $1,400 for a new S25 Ultra, I better be impressed, okay? If I'm paying $350 for a phone, it's easy to be impressed as long as the thing does what it needs to do, okay? And this thing does. So why would you use it? Why would you use this phone, okay? If you need a rugged phone, if you're working on an oil rig, if you don't have $1,400 for a flagship or you're not interested in dropping that much money on a phone, if you want a physical keyboard, if you don't want to be as upset when you drop this thing into a ditch in your construction job, all right, this phone will work for you. Now, again, it is not the top of the line specs. It's not the fastest thing. It doesn't have the cool bells and whistles. It's not the fastest fingerprint, the fastest face unlock, the loudest music. But that's not what it's for, and the price reflects that, okay? So for $350, it is what it is, and it's a great phone for $350. So the bottom line is a very, very small subset of people are going to actually want this phone. If you guys like a physical keyboard, you're going to want this. If you want something rugged, you're going to want this. But if you want something rugged without a keyboard, there's still options for you. You know, there's different options for you for something rugged. So it's going to be a small subset of people that want this. I will say if you have $350 to spend and you want a phone with a keyboard, dude, just grab it. This is going to be your closest thing to the BlackBerry Passport in 2024, 2025. Unless we're talking a Clicks keyboard for your iPhone, which they just released one for Android too. I think Michael Fisher's posted a video. I think they just released one for Flip Android and for Galaxy S25. But, you know, again, this is an accessory. We're talking this is a solid standalone phone. So it's going to be a small subset of people that want this. But if you want a physical keyboard in 2024 running Android, you're going to be able to do everything the regular person with their phone can do. Like this BlackBerry, you can barely use this thing now, right? Because the apps don't work. It's BB10 it runs. So you can barely even use this thing. I don't think you can fully in 2020. You might be able to. But this will run. It runs Android. It's you know, overall, it's a great rugged phone for $350. The bottom line is, if you are in the subset of people that's considering getting this phone, probably go ahead and grab it. It's going to do you well. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the bottom line review of the Unihertz, and we're going to be back with some more videos. I appreciate you guys. Later.